Hey guys, Max here with the update for the month of June 2016. Before we get started, what you're seeing is the new Doom. It's not relevant to to what I'm talking about in the video, but it's pretty exciting to watch, and I've been playing a lot of it since I picked it up in the Steam sale. So, there you go. Moving on to the update. This one's going to be a little bit different from some of the previous update videos because, first and foremost, there's not a new episode of Great Levels in Gaming. But that said, I'm not coming to you empty-handed, and I do have a stream archive. As you may know from watching the previous update videos, I had been wanting to stream for a while, and I've been enjoying it when I've had the opportunity to do it. And one of the things that I wanted to do was not to leave you guys out here on the channel if you aren't able to watch and tune in live. So it took me a couple of tries to get it working properly and to my satisfaction, but I was able to start archiving them on my computer. I was able to start recording them just before they even go out to Twitch, so it's, you know, a local recording and looks as good as I can get it for you. The first one, if all goes according to plan, the first one that I archived in full will be available in your subscription feed right next to this video. It's a playthrough of the Forbidden Woods in Bloodborne, using the character that I created with the help of the chat, so she's very colorful. And I'll try to start uploading the rest of the archived streams starting after RTX this weekend. And that's the second thing I want to get to. This weekend is Rooster Teeth's convention down in Austin, Texas, called RTX, if you're not familiar. I'm sure many of you are. And if you happen to be going, I'm going to be there the whole weekend. If you see me on the show floor, please do not hesitate to say hi. I would love to meet any of you guys, because you guys are the reason why I've been able to keep this show going for so long. It's the reason, you guys are the reason why the show has had the success that it has had, that I've been really, really proud of, and I couldn't have done it without you guys, because your endless support for the series has bolstered me when it's been difficult to get through, when it's, you know, when I've been like down on the series or down on my work or whatever. It's the support from you guys that keeps me going. So it really, I can't thank you enough, and I would love the opportunity to thank some of you guys in person. And speaking of RTX, moving on to the Ask Max segment. I'm going to get my email open here. The first one comes from MD. You guys may know him by his online handle, MyOnlyAlias, and if you've been tuning into the streams, you'll know that he is the chat mod. His question has a couple of layers, so I'm going to just read it out first. As much as you're allowed to tell, legally speaking, how did Great Levels in Gaming end up on Achievement Hunter? Did they approach you? Did I approach, or did you approach them? You give them the video and they give you the exposure in the audience. How's my aim? I'm just curious how it all happened. And I'm going to say as much as I can. Mostly I'm just going to go for the origin story of how I ended up in contact with the folks over at Achievement Hunter, and how the videos started going to them. And actually I'm going to go far back before the origin to sort of understand why Rooster Teeth and Achievement Hunter actually mean a pretty great deal to me and this series. When I was coming up with the idea for the series, there were three major inspirations. The first was, and this is one that like so many people have guessed, and quite accurately, the first is Ego Raptor's Sequelitis series, specifically the episode on Mega Man. That was one of the biggest influences on me coming up with the idea for the series in the first place. But the other two were both Rooster Teeth personalities, Jack Patillo and Bernie Burns. Jack, on a stream, I want to say in like 2013, maybe 2012, he mentioned that Achievement Hunter, at least at the time, was frequently asked, why doesn't Achievement Hunter do game reviews? Because I think they were still doing the series called This Is, where they would sort of explain what a new game was as it came out. And the answer, excuse me, and the answer that he gave was that they only want to talk about the things they like. And that made a huge impact on me. That really resonated with me, because I only want to talk about the stuff that I like. I really, I like positivity. I think there's enough negativity, and other people are much funnier than I am. They can pull off negativity way better than I can. So I'm going to try to focus on the positive, and that's what led to me coming up with the idea for the series. The Sequelitis level design discussion, coupled with the supreme positivity that Jack was pushing and putting forth, combined to come up with the concept for the series. And Bernie Burns, his influence on it was, he's mentioned on more than one occasion on the podcast that they'll frequently be asked, how does one break into the business? And it was just make stuff. So I took his advice and I just started making stuff, and that's how the series itself began. So on to how it started with Achievement Hunter. At PAX East 2015, so a little over a year ago, I went up and I happened to see a few different Rooster Teeth personalities there, one of whom was Jack Patillo. And seeing as he had such a big influence on me coming up with the series in the first place, I needed it was like a physical need. I needed to introduce myself to him just so I could tell him what an impact his positivity had on my life and how it helped me, it helped inspire this series. So I got the opportunity to introduce myself. I explained what my series was. I gave him my card. He said it sounded badass, which was like the coolest thing that had ever happened to me, because like Jack said something I did was badass. It was awesome. And then a couple of weeks, and so I also on the Rooster Teeth website, I sent him a direct message with a link to the Assassin's Creed video, because I knew, and still know obviously, that he's a big Assassin's Creed fan. Just like I have been for a while. I've kind of fallen off the Assassin's Creed wagon in the last couple of years. Excuse me. So he liked that video, and then a couple of weeks later he found me on Twitter again. He was like, "Who's this guy? He made these videos on level design. Who was this guy?" And I was like, "Was it me?" And he was like, "Yeah, it was you." So fast forward, like what, 6 months or so? Like it was a while later at this point. I had just put out, I think it was the second video on Dark Souls. And Jack actually followed me on Twitter and tweeted out that he was like really enjoying the series, and that of course made me like blush to no end. I was like seriously floored by that. Just a couple months after that, or a month or two after that, it was the Extra Life stream. I sent him a message congratulating him on the Extra Life stream, how great it went, and he asked, he told me to send an email to a particular email address and said, "I have a couple of questions for you." Those questions ended up being, would I like to keep making great levels in gaming, but have it go on the Achievement Hunter channel on contract? And so that's how it came about. Is the sort of the mutual respect between me and Jack. I've looked up to the guy for years, and I was fortunate enough to for him to like my series and like it enough to push for it and help me sort of broaden the platform to get it going up on the Achievement Hunter channel. So that's your origin story. That's how I got my spider powers, or whatever. So next question is from Tanner McAveety, who has he's written in the past and has written in again with a very cool question, which is, so Dishonored 2 is coming up. My question for you is Emily or Corvo? Personally, it's Corvo all the way. For me, I think for my first playthrough, it's probably going to be Emily, just because I want to get to know this new character and sort of have an interaction with Corvo that's not in the first person, because the whole of the first game was in first person. That said, I'm totally still going to play as Corvo. I'm going to play through this game like probably at least 8 times because I freaking love Dishonored. So Emily first, then Corvo, and then probably a mix for like the following million times I play it. I'm really looking forward to Dishonored too. The last question comes from Second Opinion, and I'm actually going to put a link to his channel in the description of this video because he's a longtime supporter who happens to make some very cool video game analysis videos of his own. So I highly encourage you guys to check out his work. It's very cool stuff. I actually really like his, he did this massive 3-part breakdown / review of the design, the qualities of Final Fantasy XII, which actually is one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. I know that's maybe not a popular opinion, but whatever, it's mine. And I really enjoyed it, and he had some very cool stuff to say about it. His question is, outside of needing to find the time to do it, are there any types of heavily scripted or edited videos like Great Levels in Gaming that I've thought of doing? And that is a very good question with the answer of very much yes. I've had some ideas for a video covering sort of how one could use music to evoke a sense of place in a game, and I have some specific examples I want to mention if I get around to making that video. I've wanted to do a video sort of discussing why I really gravitate toward a lot of hard games, very difficult games, and sort of like the story behind why now I really like hard games while I may not have when I was younger. And then a couple of others, like the idea, I want to talk a bit about the, at some point, about the aiming, the weapon aiming mechanics in The Last of Us, because I actually really like them. It feels a little bit clunky, but I think that that's by design, and I think it actually makes sense in the context of the game itself, but I don't want to get into too much detail because then this video is going to go on forever. So thank you to MD, Tanner, and Second Opinion for writing in. I'm really grateful to you guys for asking such fantastic questions. And if you guys who are watching have any questions, email them to greatlevelsingaming@gmail.com and put the phrase Ask Max in the subject line. That way it just gets filtered right into the Ask Max folder, and I'll do my best to include your questions in the next monthly update. Thank you for watching, thank you for continuing to support the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.